Good morning and welcome to the Franchise Minute. I am Anna Wilds, the franchise economist, and I have a special guest today that I can't wait to introduce you to. This is Colette Bell, the co-founder of ACE Handyman Services. Colette, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. I am just honored to be here today.
I'm going to tell you, and I told you off air, but I'm going to say it on air. You are one of my very favorite franchise development people and founders of a franchise, and your
Thank you.
concept is one of my absolute very favorite. It is stunning, and I cannot wait for the audience to hear more about it. So
Thank you.
start us off, Colette. Tell us about you and how you came to found a handyman service franchise.
Yeah, well, like every other story in franchising, Anna, it's a windy road, right?
Right,
I'm still waiting to meet somebody who said, "Oh, when I graduated from high school, I went to college for franchising and I
right.
started a franchise." It never seems to work that way.
No.
So our story about ACE Handyman Services actually starts way back in 1997. My husband was working for restaurants, and he was a really great restaurant manager. He loved the chaos of restaurants, which to me, that's all they were, but he thrived on it. And I was teaching school. And so we had a nice life. We went to work every day and we came home every night tired, but things were going well. And what really switched for us in late 1997 was we learned that I was pregnant with our first child. And we were planning it, so we were super excited, but we also felt like we had a fork in the road because we were pretty familiar with what our work life balance had been up to that point. And the
Mhm.
thought of bringing a child into this mix seemed a little bit daunting time wise.
Yeah.
And my husband Andy had a driving passion to be the kind of father that he didn't have. His dad owned grocery stores, so he was a great working man. The only thing worse than restaurants are grocery stores, 24/7. Terrible. But Andy really wanted to be a part of the children's lives. We didn't know it was a boy at the time, but we ended up having two boys. So he said to me one day, "I really think I need to quit my restaurant job, and I need to find something else." And I said, "Great." So he wrapped up his work with restaurants the beginning of 1998, kind of sat around a table trying to figure out what he was going to do with his life, and fell upon an idea of a handyman business. Now, Andy was in restaurants, so he was not in construction. That was not his trade by education. So he was good at tinkering. Restaurant guys do that a lot. They're constantly tinkering with things. But he was by no means in construction. And so when he brought that up to me, I said, "Gosh, I don't think you could do that. I don't, sorry, but I don't know. I don't see this happening." And he said, "No, I don't want to create a business I have to work in every day. I want to create a business I can work on, and I'll hire the people to work in the business." And I said, "Do you think you're going to be able to find anybody that needs a handyman job?" And he said, "There's only one way to find out." So he put an ad in the paper. That's how long ago this was. And guys started calling, and by February 14th of 1998, we had a handyman business running here in Denver. Fast forward that, we grew it pretty quickly in Denver. There was a lot going on in Denver in the late 90s, so handyman business was much in need. And by the end of 1999, we decided we really needed to try it somewhere else. We felt like we had a really solid business model,
Mhm.
but we weren't sure if it was just something that was only going to work in Colorado. So we chose the hardest nearest state to us, which is California.
Oh my word.
Opened 3 company stores in California, and they worked. And so then, as fortune would have it, we ended up winning a franchise legal competition. And a franchise law firm was kind enough to create a franchise disclosure document. And in 2001, we were off and running. So quite
Wow.
a windy story. Yeah. And then really fast forward to 2018, we were contacted by Ace Hardware. Yep, the
That
Ace
Ace
Hardware.
Hardware. Yeah.
Yeah, we were contacted by them. They wanted to investigate expanding into services. They saw the switch in our society that's really started happening in 2017 from a very robust do it yourself economy. So think of our baby boomers, but they basically built America. Every
Yeah.
building in America, the railroads, I mean, everything was built by the baby boomers. And what was happening in 2017 is those baby boomers were starting to age, like we all are.
Mhm.
But today, with their average age of 72, even though intellectually they know how to do easy home repairs, it's physical limitations that they're starting to hit up against.
Mhm.
And on the other side of our society are millennials who just have a different time value assessment. They don't want to spend their
Mhm.
weekend working on a deck. They'd rather go and play and enjoy and pay somebody else to do it.
Right.
So Ace Hardware saw that trend. And so we started talking in 2018 and ended up formalizing the acquisition. Ace Hardware bought everything, the franchise, our local business, everything, the end of 2019. And then they were kind enough to keep us around. So not just my husband. They kept our whole corporate staff intact in Denver, which is pretty unusual in an acquisition. But they said, you know what, we've decided, you know what you're doing. We're just going to give you a much better brand name and a whole lot more resources, and let's see what you can do with it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Fantastic. What an amazing story. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Sure.
Now, please explain. I mean, you did through Andy's example, but just to highlight, what is the role of the owner of a franchisee? What does that person do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, our business model is intended for what we all call in franchising an owner operator model. What that basically means for ACE Handyman Services is the franchisee comes into the business, and just like Andy, we don't want them working in the business, meaning we don't want them to go do a drywall patch. We don't want them to go to a customer's home and put up a fence that's fallen down. We had massive windstorms here in Denver over the weekend, so we've got all these privacy fences down. We don't want the franchise owners to do that. What we have found in our business model works the best for franchise owners, and it's really how Andy ended up growing the business originally, was by using his leadership skills and his ability to build a culture of people who are all caring about the same customers, which is homeowners, and hire those talented craftsmen that exist in every territory. And they're the ones who are going out and doing the work. And the franchise owner is left for free time to really focus on three main parts of growing the business. First is the hiring of their team members. We all know hiring takes time. You've got to interview people, you've got to do background checks, you've got to bring them in for interviews, you've got to onboard them because people need an opportunity to be trained so they know what to do. That takes time and effort. Then the second real expenditure of time for a franchise owner is in, and this was Andy's favorite part of the business, as you know him well, is running around town telling people about his new handyman business.
Right.
Andy could not go anywhere without telling people about the handyman business. We would be at a gas station and he was pumping gas and telling the guy next to him about his handyman business. And we were in the grocery store in line and he was telling all the customers that were in line around him and the cashier and the bagger about the handyman business. I mean, he just never shut up. He never quit talking about the handyman business. That's really the key to growing this particular business because, you and I were talking, every homeowner has a list of things.
Everyone.
You can't have a house without having a list of things. You just don't necessarily know who to call.
That's right.
And so if you know who to call, then it just becomes sort of a no-brainer opportunity to get your business out there. So networking is a really big deal. It's not really sales. You
Yeah.
can't sell somebody a handyman. Either they need you or
Yeah.
they don't, right? But we know everybody needs us, so they just need to know about us, basically.
Right. Right.
And then the last thing our franchise owners do is they manage the business. They review marketing reports. We have really great tracking marketing opportunities. We know exactly what caused the phone to ring. You can run a report that tells you how much sales was generated by that particular marketing vehicle, but you still need to run the report and look at it and then make adjustments to it, right? Because you're a locally owned and operated business. You have the right to run the business in the best way for yourself and your community.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of built-in flexibility for the owner.
A lot. And again, I tell everybody all the time, this business was born in our basement. And the reason why we started the business was Andy wanted to be on the sidelines during baseball practice. not just the games on Saturday, but on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays at baseball practice. And if you have a cell phone, you can run this business. Everything is electronic. We've got 10 different software programs, which seems like overkill for a handyman business, but we all know digital in this world.
Right.
And so we've got a lot of systems and process that are easy to manage from wherever you happen to be. You do need craftsmen that are in the community, obviously, so they can be going to the customers. And you're going to want to hire an office manager so they can answer the phone and book those jobs, because we don't want the owner stuck behind the computer answering.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, and we see a lot of franchise owners, especially since the growth with ACE. We've been super blessed. Pandemic was really kind to service-based businesses. We saw a huge growth with that. We saw a huge growth with the ACE brand name. Just as an example, we opened 100 new territories last year.
Did y'all hear that, audience? 100 new territories last year. That just happened happenstance. That's amazing, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's even mind-boggling to me to have that many people who are really interested, but a lot of really sophisticated buyers coming in saying, I'm going to put the time and energy in for 2-3 years, and then I'm going to elevate people in my organization to a general manager position so they can take over the day-to-day operations, and I can go start another business or play golf every day, or you know what I mean, whatever retirement.
Go see the grandkids, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, Colette, we love to crush preconceived notions. What are kind of the top 2 you would say you have to handle most frequently?
Yeah, we talked about the one, which is most people feel like if they don't have construction experience or if they're not handy, this would likely not be a concept for them. And it just couldn't be further from the truth.
That's right. They're not hammers and painting houses.
You just don't need it, right? Andy didn't have it. Most of our franchise owners, I would say upwards of 85% of our franchise owners are coming more from a white collar corporate America, that kind of a job. I share with people all the time, our number one franchisee in the system, his previous career was he was a horticulturalist. I'm not even sure what that means. I know he worked with plants. I know he did not work with tools, so I know that it's very different. So that's the first misconception that happens with our concept.
Yeah.
The second one, and this is a very personal one for myself, is that this is not an industry that a woman would be very successful in, or it might be an industry that's difficult for a woman. Again, that could not be further from the truth. This was a business that was intended to give the training and the support even to people who don't have construction experience or people who are not men to be able to run this business successfully. And I always tell my female candidates that I'm speaking with, while I have not successfully made our franchise network 50-50 men and women, I'm working hard on that, by the way. While I haven't made it 50-50, I can tell you our top 20 offices, 50% of them are always women. And I really think it's for a couple of reasons. One is because, like with any business, if you're better at multitasking, you get more done.
Right.
A lot of women just tend to naturally be better at multitasking. The second reason is because a handyman business mostly services female customers.
There you go.
Female customer loves a female-owned handyman business. It's different, it's memorable, it's unique. And the last reason is because most of the craftsmen that work for us, not all of them, we have some female craftsmen, but most of the craftsmen who work for us are men, and they've never worked for a woman. And a lot of them really like it because we just have a different management style. We're a little bit softer.
Yeah.
So once we can kind of get through some of those misconceptions, I think people are surprised to learn that, really they could be very successful in a handyman business as well.
Well, I agree. And listen, Colette, we are out of time.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you for being here. If someone wants to learn more about ACE Handyman Services, what do you suggest they do?
Oh gosh, Anna, you're the expert, right? You are the one to call. I hope they reach out to you to learn more about ACE Handyman Services. And if we're not a great fit, then some of the other great franchise concepts that I know that you have out there that you can share with people.
Oh, well, thank you, Colette. And thank you so much for sharing your amazing story with my audience. It's just been a pleasure to have you on. And audience, this is Colette Bell co-founder of ACE Handyman Services. And audience, thank you for watching and listening. And I absolutely want you to come back next week, because one of my new favorite franchises is going to be on next week. It's hot, it's growing, its product is white hot. You're just really not going to want to miss this. So come back next Wednesday at 11:30. See you then. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist.